The Secretary General arrived in London earlier today in advance of his participation of the 80th anniversary of the first meeting of the General Assembly in London in 1946. Today, the Secretary General just met with Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer. The Secretary General thanked the Prime Minister for the UK's continued support to multilateralism and its active role in the United Nations. They discussed the war in Ukraine. Among other topics, they discussed Sudan, the Middle East, and UN reform. Earlier today, the Secretary General met with Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London. They discussed the role of cities in dealing with climate change. Tomorrow, the Secretary General will deliver the keynote address at the UNA UK conference entitled UN General Assembly at 80 from 1946 to Our Future. This will take place at Methodist Central Hall in London, where the first meeting of the General Assembly took place in 1946. In his remarks, the Secretary General is expected to say that as we wish to make the world fairer, it is critical that the international system reflects today's reality, including the drive to update the Security Council and to reform the unjust and unfair international financial architecture. He will say that at a time when the values of multilateralism are being chipped away, the world needs civil society movements everywhere that are fearless and persistent, and that make it impossible for leaders to look away. Tomorrow, the agreement on marine biological diversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction, known as the BBNJ agreement, will enter into force after receiving the necessary ratifications from member states. In a video message, the Secretary General will say that the day marks a watershed moment for the ocean. He will say that this is a historic achievement for people and planet, for international cooperation, and the United Nations. This treaty establishes the first legal framework for conserving and sustainably using marine biodiversity in the two-thirds of the ocean that lie beyond national borders. The Secretary General will commend the parties to the agreement and will urge all states to join. We will share that video message with you in advance of tomorrow's entry into force. In a statement we issued yesterday, we said that the announcement on the 14th of January of the launch of Phase 2 of President Trump's 20-point plan, including the establishment of a transitional technocratic Palestinian administration in Gaza and of the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza, is an important step. Any initiative that contributes to alleviating the suffering of civilians, supporting recovery and reconstruction, and advancing a credible political horizon is a positive development. The Secretary General recalls Security Council Resolution 2803 and underscores that all efforts must be guided by relevant United Nations resolutions and international law. In a statement we issued yesterday, the Secretary General strongly condemned the Israeli authorities' unlawful entry on the 12th of January 2026 into United Nations property in occupied East Jerusalem, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency Jerusalem Health Center, and the order of its temporary closure. The Secretary General is also deeply concerned that UNRWA has been informed that utility providers will soon cease supplying electricity and water services to multiple UNRWA facilities in occupied East Jerusalem. The Secretary General deeply regrets that the Israeli authorities have continued to take further action inconsistent with its obligations under international law, including the Convention on the Privileges and Immunities of the United Nations. The Secretary General urges the government of Israel to immediately take steps to return and restore the UNRWA Sheikh Jarrah compound and the UNRWA Jerusalem Health Center, and to ensure that essential utilities to UNRWA premises are maintained. The full statement is online. Turning to the Gaza Strip, the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs says that 10 additional temporary learning sites in the Gaza Governorate have been renovated so far this month. Overall, more than 440 spaces are now operational, serving about 270,000 students with the help of more than 6,300 teachers. We again call for the lifting of restrictions on education supplies, including stationery, so that more children can receive education. We and our partners also continue to support people affected by the recent winter storms. This week, more than 200 tents were distributed to families, alongside thousands of tarpaulins, blankets, warm clothes, cooking and serving utensils, and solar lights. As a reminder, more than 1 million people across the Gaza Strip still urgently need shelter assistance and durable shelter solutions, including repairs to damaged homes and emergency shelter kits. As Mr. Lacroix just told you, UNIFIL reported that this morning small arms fire from an Israeli Defense Forces tank south of the Blue Line hit a UNIFIL position in Kfar Shuba in Sector East. The bullets hit a sentry post and one penetrated one of the position's living accommodations, probably after ricocheting. Fortunately, no one was injured. UNIFIL has further details. The Security Council yesterday afternoon was briefed by Assistant Secretary General Martha Pobey on the situation in Iran. She told council members that for nearly 3 weeks, popular protests in the Islamic Republic of Iran have rapidly evolved into nationwide upheaval, resulting in significant loss of life. She recalled that the Secretary General has expressed deep concern over the reported excessive use of force in Iran and stressed the urgent need to prevent further casualties. All deaths should be promptly, independently, and transparently investigated. Those responsible for any violations must be held to account in line with international norms and standards. Ms. Pobey also noted, with alarm, various public statements suggesting possible military strikes on Iran. This external dimension adds volatility to an already combustible situation, she said. She said that the Secretary General remains convinced that all concerns regarding Iran, including those related to the nuclear issue and ongoing protests, are best addressed through diplomacy and dialogue. He urges maximum restraint at this sensitive moment and calls on all actors to refrain from any actions that could lead to further loss of life or ignite a wider regional escalation. Moving to Syria, following a joint mission to Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon, the regional directors of the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, World Food Programme, and UN Children's Fund pledged to strengthen coordinated support for Syrians returning home and those still hosted across the region. During their visit, the regional directors met with governments, donors, and families to assess needs, address gaps, and identify where support can be expanded in a more coordinated and efficient manner. They said improved conditions inside Syria are essential to ensure voluntary, safe, and dignified returns, while sustained assistance in host countries helps families make informed decisions about their future. Just to note that after more than a decade of displacement, around 3 million displaced Syrians inside and outside the country were able to return home. At the same time, around 4.5 million Syrians are still hosted in neighboring countries. The High Commissioner for Refugees, Barham Saleh, today underscored the need for urgent humanitarian assistance and protection for people fleeing the brutal war in Sudan, and for greater support for refugees to build their lives with dignity. During a visit to Chad, the High Commissioner called for urgent humanitarian support to address the growing needs of refugees and host communities. He highlighted that the ongoing conflict in neighboring Sudan has driven large numbers of people into eastern Chad, overwhelming already stretched resources and services. The UN Refugee Agency and its partners are working with the government of Chad to expand assistance, including shelter, food, water, health, and protection services. Mr. Saleh urged the international community to step up funding and solidarity to save lives and help rebuild futures for displaced families. From Ukraine, our colleagues at the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs tells us that between yesterday and this morning, frontline hostilities and attacks across the country killed and injured several civilians, including a child. This is according to Ukrainian authorities. Energy facilities and civilian infrastructure were also damaged, including hospitals. Nationwide scheduled and emergency power outages continue as nighttime temperatures plunge to negative 15 degrees Celsius. Our humanitarian colleagues note that the government has declared an energy emergency. In the capital, Kiev, around 130 apartment buildings remain without heating, and scheduled power outages continue across all residential districts. Schools have been instructed to extend winter holidays until the 1st of February, with similar decisions expected elsewhere. Our humanitarian partners continue to support communities and provide aid, including hot meals, heater and charging stations, but additional assistance is urgently needed. Turning to Venezuela, our colleagues at the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs today said that we, along with our partners, continue to deliver aid across the country. This includes food, school meals, healthcare, and psychosocial support. We also continue to coordinate with authorities, monitor humanitarian needs nationwide, and inform people about the humanitarian services available to them. Our humanitarian colleagues note that years of turmoil have left many families without reliable support. 1 in 4 people in Venezuela need humanitarian assistance. OCHA calls on donors to keep support flowing for life-saving aid. This year's Humanitarian Needs and Response Plan calls for just over $600 million. In 2025, the response plan was only 17% funded, one of the lowest globally. And we have a quiz for you today. This country in Europe is one of only 2 double landlocked countries in the entire world. Any ideas who that would be? You're absolutely right. Ephraim got it right. It's Liechtenstein. The other double landlocked country is Uzbekistan. We say thank you to our friends in Vaduz for their full payment to the regular budget. Liechtenstein's payment brings the number of member states on the honor roll to 15. Are there any questions for me? Yes, Pam.
I guess Ephraim gets the first question, although I was right behind you with
Oh,
Liechtenstein.
did you have a question? Okay, well,
Okay, well,
well, no.
it's Friday. UNICEF today issued a statement on the dramatic crisis in Ukraine. You mentioned some of it because of the attacks on energy, and that many homes are not getting heating in this very cold winter. Is there any effort to up the amount of aid or seek more aid just for the winter months? Thank you.
Well, we certainly want to be able to do that. Obviously, we need the resources to provide aid. We're certainly trying to provide heaters. We're trying to provide charging stations. So within our abilities, we're trying to do what we can. Obviously, one of the crucial things is that all attacks on civilian infrastructure, and specifically on the ability to keep residences heated, have to stop. This will kill people as the winter progresses.
Thank you.
Ephraim.
Thank you, Farhan. Do you have any update for us on the movement of returnees and the displaced from Aleppo? Any update on the numbers who have returned today? Is the returning continuing?
I don't have any for today. You saw that in the last several days we've had reports, and I would just go with what we said on Wednesday and Thursday about the returnees. That process is continuing, and we'll provide further updates as we get the numbers. Deshi.
Several questions. First, today, U.S. President Trump said that he might put extra tariffs for those countries who oppose the takeover of Greenland of the United States. Any reaction from the Secretary General on this?
You're well aware of what our position is, including on respect for the UN Charter, which, as you know, establishes the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the member states.
So they can discuss to make concession to get the Greenland, I mean U.S. Is that correct? As long as it's in line with the UN Charter.
Again, you need to read the UN Charter. What we are saying is, and the Charter makes clear, is that the sovereignty and territorial integrity of nations has to be respected by all.
And secondly, on the phase 2 of the Gaza peace plan, I remember someone has asked this question maybe. How do you assess the humanitarian front of the phase 1? Is there enough aid getting in? How much obstacles do you have you encountered?
Hold on just 1 second, and I'll get to you. 1 second, please. Sorry. Yes, hello. Yes, hello, sir. It was quite good.
Hi,
Sorry,
Farhan.
sometimes I
Do
have
you
to
have
take that.
anything to share with us?
No. That's it was just timed at the same time as your thing. Sorry about that.
Okay. Then get
so-
back to
so-
the question, the humanitarian
Yeah.
operation.
The point is that that the humanitarian operation, as you know, has been able to provide aid to the point where the threat of famine had been averted over these months. We've been able to feed people. We've been able to provide shelter, goods, and other things as much as we can. But some items are still held up. We do not have as much of the shelter materials that we need. There are certain things, including education materials, that we have not been able to get. Just now, I pointed out the lack of stationery, which is something that really should not be held up from people, but has been so far, and so there's still blockages. We still don't have as many crossing points open as we want to have open, but having said that, yes, humanitarian aid is getting in, and more crucially, also commercial traffic is being restored as well.
Farhan, yesterday, President Trump delivered this on Truth Social, said, quote, even the United Nations have acknowledged this achievement, which means the humanitarian aid to Gaza reaching civilians at historic speed and scale. He said, even the UN has acknowledged this achievement as, capitalized, unprecedented. Do you agree?
I think I gave you the valuation that I gave you just now, and that's what we're sticking with.
Okay.
All right. Have a great weekend, everyone.